Hi and hello everyone, this is Chili speaking here. So today I will be talking to you on behalf of this beauty and answering some of the questions regarding my warrior playstyle. I know that the season is about to end, but hey, better late than never, right? So maybe some of you will pull off the desired ratings. I want to talk about the basic stuff like rotation, because this is something you can easily find over the internet, and focus only on the key points with a few tips and tricks at the end of the video, as well as a quick walkthrough over some of the more useful macros. First things first, picking the right talents is a question that I receive the most. So I wanted to say that the choice depends on the setup you play and the setup you are facing. There are three main specs you can basically use, with a few possible ways to play around. For example, as I mainly play Demo WLS, relying on that burst damage, I want to be using single target abilities so that I don't break my Warlock spheres. And this is how my basic setup looks like. Modified and adjusted to a different scenarios given. And so, if I face a melee comp, I might pick at least Shockwave if there are a lot of pets, players and other things that could be possibly get hit in a stacking matchups, like Turbo, Walking Dead, or just a Demo Warlock in general and PM Hunters, to help survive our team longer. But since Artifact takes around 4 seconds to be cast, I usually still need to run with that Stormbolt for that restun, so Merif can get it off before the enemy reflects or interrupts it. Also, as we are speaking about facing the melees, I most likely don't need a spell reflect, giving me a choice to run with a nice panic button, which is a 1-minute commanding chance, very useful in dangerous situations. Also because of the fact that we benefit from the healthstone here more, as it is a percentage heal of your maximum health. Why do you run Overpower and why do I sometimes see you using Mortal Combo? Okay, so I use Overpower because I don't feel like I'm rage starved, so I prefer its high chance of crit output, which is good against comps like a jungle where a lot of dodging RNG is involved into your hits. And generally speaking, unpredictable and bursty damage is something that should force the cooldowns, not consistent damage, unless you are playing a high dampening comp. So the most single fire cannon damage you can get is by combining both of these talents. It's a rare practice that I do nowadays, but it is still worth giving it a try, at least in a game or two. Also against a melee cleave with no pets, because then I would be using the Whirling spec, Sweeping Strikes with a Mortal Combo is a serial killer. What I wanted to say here is that creative thinking out of the box is what you should consider. Sometimes practice is different to the theories saying that this is the talent the way to go, as it may simply not occur to be truth. Okay, so the two other specs you can possibly run are Sweeping Strikes against melee comps to cleave, where you aren't afraid of breaking the CC, and against teams without too many pets, because Sweeping Strikes can hit up to 3 targets. So the pros are that it allows you to spread the Sharpened Blade effect on multiple targets, as well as receive more self-healing due to an artifact trait. In order not to make you rage starved, I would recommend using the Rage Machine Honor talent. Against any other team with pets, the Whirling spec is the way to go. This is the Demo Warlocks, Unholy Walking Dead, plus maybe some weird comps including BM Hunters or Enhanced Shamans in it. It has insane AoE and single target damage and even better self-healing potential than the Sweeping Strikes due to the spammable Whirlwind action. So how do you pull it off? You want to have the Colossus March debuff on a target, Mortar Strike effect on a target, and then 5 stacks of Cleave, pop wreck, use that Whirlwind 3 times, execute and grab your puntos. It is super effective, especially against Demo Warlocks, because they consistently have tons of pet by their side, as well as because of the fact that you reduce their damage by immense amounts. Okay, so let's go individually through some of the talents that we have here. Trinkets. In 90% of the games I run with the 2-minute trinket, which is essential for spiky situations where you need to use it among with Die by the Sword, for example in an RMP matchup, or when you need it when you are going after the kill to finish somebody off. I only used adaptation once in my entire Legion experience. I believe it was last season against triple druid team, which was the Resto, Boomy and the Feral. And then the Relentless, possibly if you run a triple Rele orc team, so that all of you benefit from the shorter CC duration at once. Meaning your healer will get faster out of the CC chain to heal, and you will get faster out of the CC to help him out. Feel free to use sparing against double melees like Windwalker, Warrior, Demon Hunter to make the most out of it. Against rest of the melees it may not be so effective, since a lot of their abilities include magical damage. Use Death Row against wheelchair targets if in the enemy team there's no melee to disarm, like Shadow Priests and Tester Warlocks. Or Death Sentence in a comps like FMP, where you can benefit from the range execute, which is basically a free charge with an execute when somebody is below 20%, plus it doesn't care if you're sitting the roots or not, which is actually ridiculous. Now before we go into the duel or banner discussion, let's take a look at the pain train. First let me tell you that I don't really play melee comps, but at least let me explain my thoughts. It can be useful when you're running double melee, of course, so your partner can benefit from the crit effect as well. Also the Crane Misdriver in Turbo, for example, but I'm not sure if the Shaman's squishiness doesn't require you to play dual banner sometimes, for example against RMP, to stop the incoming chain CC. Also considering splitting your offensive cooldowns could be worth, like using the Bloodlust first separately to force one portion of defensive cooldowns and then on your go with the wreck another part of them. Last but not least, there is also one more strong benefit that came to my realization with the talent, and that is the desynchronizing enemy defensive tools against you. For example, the duel is 1 minute cooldown, and if your enemy is using wreck on a cooldown, I can't pillage with them. I could only use the disarm, which is trinketable or blade stormable, so yeah, just think about it. Okay, so the banner. Banner can be good against any comp, but it is one of the higher skill capabilities in the game. It requires a good communication with your team or a very good sense of the game to predict ongoing situations. It allows you to keep the momentum going by increasing your speed and reducing incoming CC by half in time. Like I said, it is a high risk and reward talent because it has a relatively high cooldown on it, which can be easily wasted. With the fact to remember that your team has to be in the 30 yards range of it to make it work. So sometimes if you are too far away from your teammates, you might need to leap back to stop the CC. So the situations. RMP Polish, or if you want a safe bet, you can just use it after when the priest is coming off with the fear on your team. Sap after the blind, then again hunters bursting shots to prevent trap, or after the Hodge if it's PH for the same purpose. If you don't like playing with a duel, you can use banner even against the melee comps. It can be useful to restart a go from a Walking Dead, for example, on that DK's grip when they are about to use the leg sweep and pop their cooldowns. This means that they will, in addition to lose their CC, also have to waste a global cooldown on their big cooldowns to kill it. I am using an add-on that shows the CC on my teammates, so it helps me to coordinate the banners. Duel, of course, on the other hand, is way easier to use, especially in a no voice game sessions, so generally speaking it's better against some comps that have less CC than the others and shorter boost windows, meaning it's more effective against things like Stormkeeper, Battlecry, Warlock's Chaos Bolts on Soul Harvest than the Boomy's Incarn that lasts 30 seconds. Again, make sure you don't waste it when your lock, for example, wants to port back. Situations. In the turbo scenario, you just duel the warrior and then disarm the shaman to stop the go. Against Red, when he has 15 stacks of wings. Against Windwalkers on Storm, Wind and Fire, or Frosticus, Pillar of Frost, and so on. So how do you swap? Well, swapping is something that you learn by playing a certain setup and gaining experience with it, as well as properly counter-reacting to enemy defensive cooldowns, like Paladin Sacks or Bobs if your team doesn't have a Purge, for example. So I can't really give you a clear answer on this question. Okay, so macros. There are not too many of them, but few are quite essential. So we have the dual 1, 2, 3 targets. We have the Stormbolt 1, 2, 3 targets. Then I have 2 macros for going ham, which is the first one without Sharpened Blade if there is CC applied on the enemy healer, or full Swifty if I need to use the Sharpened Blade for the damage output and CC as well. Next, there is just a macro for separate Sharpened Blade and the macro for Disarm, which also has a cancel aura, Blaze-Storm in it, and charge to reduce the amount of time I need to get to my target. Under the G button I have the cancel aura Hand of Protection in addition to the Victor Rush button. Next we have a focus charge macro with the pummel on it to stop dead casts. Your pummel macro should also have a cancel aura Blaze-Storm on it. Then I have the 2 escape macros. In the first one I decided to exclude the Die-Body Sword because sometimes you can just easily escape from the enemies just by leaping back with a spell effect. And like I say, the next one is the Trinket Parry macro. Probably the most essential macro you should have in your assortment is this. It allows you to, on basically every mortal strike you use, taunt all of the pets, which is quite useful because, for example, if the Warlock's pet is too far from your healer, it's not able to spell lock him, and you can keep hunter pets close enough to you to reduce the damage on your partners, as well as when they are low you can easily finish them off to get that Victor Rush buff. So last but not least, I have prepared for you some of the more useful tips I could think about when playing Warrrior in arenas, and those are: don't waste your abilities, especially connectors, meaning run to a target at the start of the game instead of charging him. Of course, we have hard counters like Arcane Mages, when no matter what you do, you shall not be able to stick on him unless he fucks up. Same with few other classes, so keep that in mind. There is a lot of rock, paper, scissors involved into the game. Don't waste your spell effect, use it to cover your big moves when you pop your CDs. Also make sure that you are in the off stance when you do this. Keep in mind you can reflect Thorns damage, preferably with a Blaze-Storm for a faster tick rate, as well as reverse the Monk's Karma damage. On high rating in addition, there comes the Mind Games, where the Druid can, for example, fake cast the clone to force your spell reflect, so try not to get caught by it. Next we have the Blaze-Storm on the list. Use it to avoid the enemy CC against you. If you meet another warrior, make sure that you Blaze-Storm the disarms. With a bit of luck and prediction, you can Blaze-Storm the Infernal Stance from the Warlocks, easily Shadow Priest's Mind Bombs, or move out of the Hunter's Binding Shot range. Sharpen in between or before you start the CC chain with your team. You can disarm the DK to prevent IBF heal when he's low to easily finish him off. You can disarm Warrior at low HP as well to stop him from using that Die-Body Sword and kill him. You can disarm Hunter's Wyvern Shot to prevent that CC chain. Holy Paladin's Melee Wings to shut down the heals. Last but not least, keep in mind that you cannot disarm Pharaohs anymore like you used to in Wrath of the Lich King. Use your free globals and rage when you are kiting or are kited to heal yourself with that whirlwind, due to our nice artifact trait that can heal you for about 4 to 6%. I like using my battle cry, and monks use the Blaze-Storm for maximum output burst damage on the target. For example, when the mage novas me, so let's say I don't want to waste the Blaze-Storm as a root breaker effect. Also, if you see that the pet is low, you can finish it, benefit from the sweeping strikes if you are playing with it to apply an execute debuff on the main target as well. If you are on top of the enemy's team, do some mind games, hold your kick and let the healer fake cast him to death. Against Shadow Priests, kick only VTs. If you want to switch on the enemy healer like the Shaman or Resto Druid, make sure to leap first and then mid-air use your stun not to let him get Earth Shield off or shapeshift into bear. All in all, I hope that the video wasn't too boring and brought to you some insightful thoughts. If you want to hear some more of a deeper speech about high Reddit arenas in general, then feel free to check my other video that I will put a link in the description down below. Also, you can find my whole interface and add-ons folders in case you ever wanted to copy or recreate some of my UI features. So that's it for today. I wish you good luck in this and upcoming seasons in the next expansion of BFA, and as always, see you on the arenas. Peace!